Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Law & Order Legacies. Let's continue.
Good Shepherd. Name sounds familiar. Catholic agency?
Yeah, I'm calling him right now. This is Detective Ray Curtis of the 27th Precinct.
We're looking for this
Got some
kid's
information
ID.
about someone, a minor. I believe he may be a client of yours. Name's Aaron Bauer. Yes, old.
Wait a minute. That's that guy. What's his name? Montrose.
Montrose?
Stephen Montrose. He's the director down there. Wrote that book that made a big splash last spring. The Empty High Chair.
Sure. I've seen him on talk shows. He's always going on
About how the child welfare system breaks up families and needs to be reformed from the top down. His agency's been getting tons of good press.
I wouldn't really argue that point at all. I would say child welfare in general prefers to keep the families together if at all possible.
Caseworker said she could arrange a meeting at
Honestly, I've heard much more incidences where the child should have been away from their biological parents and
That's Aaron, all
they
right.
weren't taken.
The caseworker?
From the start.
Who are they?
This is Detective Briscoe and Detective Curtis.
Cops? You didn't tell me there was going to be cops here.
Sit down, Mrs. Bauer.
So she looks like a mess. So we found his biological mother, I guess.
Mrs. Bauer, there's no easy way to say this. I'm afraid your son Aaron is dead.
Nah, he's just messing with you. He's playing possum. He always does that. He makes believe.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Bauer. We found his body last night. Severe head trauma. We're afraid that...
Give me a break, okay? Where is he really? You just want to put him back in City Youth Home. That place is a hellhole.
We're trying to figure out who did this to him. And we need you to answer some questions.
Yeah? Shoot.
So let's just go through all of this. When did you last see him? Beating? Make believe? Like, how do we even have these lines of dialogue? Honestly, there's been no talk of any beating other than the murder, which you wouldn't really call a beating. And the tasing, I suppose, but you still wouldn't really call that a beating.
Can you tell us when you last saw
Like,
Aaron?
I should have
He was
conversations
gone when I woke
and
up.
then unlock new topics
Probably up at the
way
arcade.
more often than
I
I
was
am.
sleeping late, so sue me, right? Last night was New Year's Eve.
We know, but when did you see your son?
9 o'clock. That's his bedtime. I tucked him in.
Does this match the evidence? Seriously, I don't even care to go back and check, but let's see. Maybe there was something. 2 o'clock on the 25th of Christmas. This is New Year's Eve, so that's 6 days ago. Or thereabout. Free lunch at that place. Did we get a time that the bag was stolen, or is that just about 4:30? So I'll say it doesn't match the evidence because he stole the bag, so he couldn't be in bed. Aaron stole Miss Tallis's bag before 9. Wait a minute, did she... Whatever, let's just guess something and move forward. I've taken a little break since last recording, but
I told you, that's just pretend.
But I'm trying to be positive here, but whatever. I might as well just close my eyes and click buttons.
We found your son's backpack, and that's what led us to you. Some items in it lead us to suspect that he was involved in criminal activities.
Bullshit! My Aaron's a good boy. He ain't the type to do drugs.
Yes, we didn't say anything about drugs. Honestly,
We didn't say anything about drugs.
I would have been just as happy if the entire order part of this was just a cutscene, just a really, really long cutscene that I could watch and get information from, and then would have to use in the court scene. And maybe you could implement some flashbacks and flash forward systems so that certain pieces of elements are shown in certain key scenes. Or maybe you would just have me have a bunch of videos that I could rewind or rewatch. Let's talk about the make-believe.
What do you mean when you say Aaron makes believe? What kind of things does he make believe?
All kinds of stuff. Stuff from the movies. He likes to pretend he's the Terminator.
I don't think this line of inquiry is gonna get us anywhere.
Found a red herring. Where did we get this
Was
beating?
there anyone who wished your son harm, who might have beat him?
Oh, he's gonna get a beating, I tell you what. He knows damn well what comes of pulling stunts like this. Yeah, he's gonna get it good.
Mrs. Bauer, did Aaron have any enemies?
Enemies? No. He's just a kid.
Does it settle the question? Not really. Did it contain a threatening letter? No. All kids have enemies? This is probably what you should click on.
Wait a minute. You ain't New York City cops at all. No. You're from Russell County.
What?
You bastards! You goddamn kidnappers ain't gonna get away with this! You're not taking him again! I'll kill you!
What's going on here?
He's my baby! He's my baby!
You don't have to stand for this, Mrs. Bauer.
No!
Take a bow.
Of course.
Who's this guy and why is he gonna try and yell at me as a cop?
Stephen Montrose, General Director of Good Shepherd. Would you mind explaining what just happened at my office?
You just interfered with the murder investigation.
Is Jenna Bauer a suspect?
Jenna Bauer is the mother.
Oh, I see. Look, detectives. This agency was set up to serve the needs of at-risk families. Those whom the other agencies have abandoned to poverty and addiction.
We understand, but
Do you? You've just come steamrolling in and hit one of my clients with about the most devastating news you can imagine. But instead of leaving her to her grief, you turn around and give her the third degree, like she was a common criminal. Not in my office, detectives, not here.
I'm sorry you don't approve of our technique, Dr. Montrose, but...
I'm familiar with the boy's case history. I can answer your questions.
Interesting. So what do you know about the agency history to start off with?
give me some background on Good Shepherd. Did you found this agency?
No, Detective. Good Shepherd has been in existence since 1933. It was founded by the Sisters of Trinity Convent, but their order has been dwindling since Vatican II. It was placed in lay hands in the early 80s, and I was named as director in 95. The church still technically oversees the business, but we're negotiating to purchase it from the Archdiocese.
This is all very interesting, but really, shouldn't we stay focused on Aaron Bauer?
Not really. Because this information might come up and be important. It's really inappropriate for the game to say things are red herrings until this entire story is done and we know who the killer is. It's possible that there was some kind of weird plot that revolved around them buying this agency from the Archdiocese. In fact, that would probably be a more interesting story than I think this game is capable of telling.
What was Mrs. Bauer yelling about when you came in?
Something about us being from Russell County. Come to take her kid.
can't help you with that one. My knowledge of the Bowers only goes back 2 years. That's when they arrived in New York. Jenna was living on the street when Good Shepherd first intervened, about 6 months later. The legal machine had shunted the boy off to City Youth Home. We successfully fought to get mother and son back together. So you see, Jenna Bauer does have some cause for feeling less than friendly toward the police.
So, does this correspond with the evidence? Probably not. Let's click no. Well, guess that was wrong. How did we reveal new topics, by the way, if we literally didn't have any conversation?
When's the last time the Bowers caseworker paid a visit? Do you know?
Of course. Miss Schuyler filed a visitation report on Christmas Day.
We'll need to see the case file, of course.
How could
I'm
that
sorry,
be true?
that's not possible.
This is a murder investigation, Dr. Montrose.
The files contain some sensitive material from several years ago, in another state. I assure you nothing remotely relevant to the current tragedy.
Yes, he has. He's now contradicted himself.
I thought you didn't know anything about the Bowers before they came to New York.
Nothing relevant, I meant. Am I a suspect now, too?
Everybody's a suspect. Let's ask unfit guardian
On
questions.
the evidence, I'm not so sure Mrs. Bauer should have had custody.
Do you always blame the parent for their child's death, detective? Or only when the parent is poor?
Now wait a minute.
No, you wait a minute. People like Jenna Bauer have had it hard enough in New York just getting by. It doesn't help when the city's guardians look at them like they were moral degenerates.
There is great reason why she would be an unfit guardian. One, she talked about beating him and she seemed to know he was transporting drugs. Caseworker admitted to Van Buren isn't forget. She talked about wanting somebody to take Aaron off her hands. I don't think she said that. Like, don't live in New York.
Bragged that she beat the kid.
It's
You're
way,
mistaken,
way too
Detective.
expensive.
All of our clients are given intensive training in positive parenting.
What is intensive training in positive parenting? I don't get that verb. Let's ask what positive parenting means.
How exactly do you train your clients in positive parenting?
Why do you ask? Are you looking to brush up on your skills?
I just want to know how the training process works.
Well, we've got a publication, Children Can't Be Beat. It serves as our course curriculum. New clients meet once a week to work through the lessons and talk about their own experiences as
That
parents.
is way too
This is
cheesy to
all
be
very
a real
fascinating,
name of a
but
book.
Shouldn't we be discussing the Bauer case? Aaron was involved in some shady business. There were drugs in his backpack.
Crystal meth.
Is there any possibility that he or his mother...
No, our clients don't abuse drugs.
None of them. Literally none of them. That mother looks like she's well, she's on drugs right now. Did he say they were already addicts? Let's click this and try it. I don't recall him actually saying that, but
None of
it
them?
seems like
You said yourself
generally
he's at risk.
the longest choice is the right choice.
Most have struggled with addictions of one sort or another. But each of our clients has made a commitment to turn his or her life around. We've worked closely with Mrs. Bauer. We can vouch for her.
Alright, now let's get him to turn over the files.
Dr. Montrose, I've got to insist that you follow procedure and turn over the Bauer case file.
You should have called ahead, detective. Procedure dictates that you give us at least 2 hours advanced warning.
Is this a valid objection? Not really. Just sit there for 2 hours. I'll warn you now. Give it to me in 2 hours. Curtis did request the files in advance when he phoned the agency 3 hours ago. The nature of the case allows Briscoe to bypass procedure. Procedure only applies to case workers, not agency directors. Let's just see at the transcript. Curtis, and we'll need the boy's case file as well. So he did ask for it. So
I put in a request when I phoned the caseworker.
Well, I wasn't informed.
Why are you putting up roadblocks? Partner with us here.
Sorry, but I know what happens when you partner with the city. They tell you they're only going to see that you follow state guidelines, but it's really a pretext for legal action. They'd love to take Good Shepherd away from me.
Well, I thought Good Shepherd was run by the Archdiocese.
The same goes double for them. I stay away from all bureaucrats, sacred and secular.
You know we can get a court order.
You can, but you won't. I've fought the city many times, Detective. It's a powerful adversary, but it hates to look bad in public. I know how to make it look bad. That's how I've bought the space to run my agency my way.
Your private kingdom.
Call it what you will.
So tell me, why did Miss Bauer have such a big problem with cops?
You want to hear about Jenna Bauer's problem with cops? Cops killed Aaron's father. Narco squad kicked down their door in the middle of the night. Started tearing the place apart looking for contraband. When Mr. Bauer stepped forward to defend his home, they shot him. Just another casualty of the drug war. So can you blame Mrs. Bauer for thinking maybe the story was repeating itself?
So he looks
Had an
very
enlightening
guilty.
Conversation with the sheriff of Russell County, Kansas. He told me about the drug bust that killed Aaron's dad. Apparently, they found 3 pounds of meth in the house.
That's a relevant fact. Wonder if it's in the Bowers case file.
You really think Mom's the killer?
I hope my hunch is wrong, but yeah, I do.
You better hope your hunch is right. Montrose has himself a big megaphone, and he's been making a lot of noise about how you roughed up his client. What's your plan? Subpoena the boy's files?
Maybe. But first, I think we need to pay Mrs. Bauer a visit. Can we get a search warrant, just in case?
The press is still giving us grief over the way we fumbled the preppy jogger case. They're gonna crucify us if you break into this apartment and come up empty. I hope you know what you're doing.
There's the flag again with the stars that are misaligned in the background.
NYPD, open up! Mrs. Bauer, if you don't let us in, we're gonna have to force the door. Oh, man. What a wreck.
If we're lucky, she won't come back and make a scene.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Oh, hell.
She did
Dead?
too.
Very.
I'll call dispatch. Yeah, this is Briscoe. We're on the scene at the Bauer residence, and we're gonna need an ME. Looks like a 10109. Yeah, right.
Lights don't work.
No heat.
Notice that the
I'm
light
guessing the
switch
electricity
didn't
was
even
Oh,
move. They didn't
Wasn't
bother
Good
to
Shepherd
animate it.
supposed to take care of this kind of thing?
We've got 2 victims now. Let's get a better picture of how they died and how they lived.
So I'm thinking that the guy that runs Good Shepherd is using them as drug dealers and petty thieves. What are we looking for? We're looking evidence of drug use, genus, cause of death, source of income, Aaron's cause of death. Alright. Petty drug use. Right there.
Meth pipe. Looks like Mom had a bad habit.
Guess we know who Aaron was bringing the candy for.
And knowing meth addicts, I can imagine she wasn't too compassionate when he came home without it.
So that's one. inherently there is just kind of this nastiness in shows like this too. It is built around showing the world the worst parts of the world and only the worst parts of the world.
Xanax. I think we found our cause of death.
And that's why I don't like to watch shows like this. Is they're unrealistic, frankly. It's just as unrealistic to say that everybody is evil as it is to say that everybody is good. What were we? Source of income. Probably this piece of paper right here. And it's bad story writing. Oh, and here's the murder weapon, by the way.
Somebody paid Jenna Bauer $1,000 back in April. New Directions Holding Company.
I have a feeling $1,000 checks didn't show up in her mailbox all that often.
I wonder how she scored this one.
Well, before we circle the murder weapon. So this kind of just looks like a cover-up, too. Unless we're just going to wrap up the story and say that the mother killed the son and there are no other suspects. If that's the case, then there's no law in this Law and Order episode, and that would be really weird. Although I wouldn't be surprised in the TV show if that did happen every now and then.
I wonder how this fell over.
Mrs. Talus's Statue of Liberty clock.
So we'll go ahead and circle that.
Damn, Lenny. Look, right there.
Blood.
I can guess whose. The poor kid comes home with this crap, and she beats him with it. Satisfied?
Yeah, I think our killer's gonna miss her date in court.
You think she overdosed on purpose? Out of guilt?
Maybe. She's a junkie, Ray. Don't hurt yourself trying to figure it out.
I find it odd that you would
what
be
do you know?
doing Xanax,
It's the caseworker.
alcohol,
and she's
and
knocking
meth
on
all
the
at
door.
once.
Oh, hey, miss, the party's down here.
Detective Briscoe? What are you doing? Oh my god! Is Mrs. Bauer...
I'm afraid so.
She doesn't even
Did the
know
place
where
look
she
like
lives?
this on Christmas Day?
Well, how should I know?
Isn't that the date of your last visit?
My last visit? I wasn't here on Christmas... Oh. I'd better call the office about this. Dr. Montrose? Yeah, I'm at the apartment. There's something you should know.
Lifetime total 8 points. So this whole thing is a scam.
The Bauer case. Isn't it time we close the file on that one?
I'd love to, believe me, but justice hasn't been done.
Poetic justice, maybe. Nobody comes away from this one looking good. Including us.
What Detective Curtis is saying is, we think you've got a case against the Good Shepherd Agency.
Against Stefan Montrose, you mean? The champion of the downtrodden?
Are you saying he's the killer?
No, but his agency failed to prevent the deaths. We feel he's responsible.
Oh, great.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Tell me why we should go after Montrose.
Interesting. Montrose failed to monitor the situation. I would assume this is the case. He put Aaron in danger, and he stonewalled us.
Law says a child welfare agency's got to check in with clients regularly.
And Good Shepherd didn't?
Do you have reason to believe Good Shepherd failed to supervise the Bauers? Yes. I do. Montrose claimed the caseworker made a visit on Christmas, but she seems to have no memory of it. A letter of complaint of Child Protective Services discovered in the Bauer's apartment. I didn't see that. Mrs. Bauer remarked she hadn't met the caseworker till now. Montrose had no idea where the Bauers lived. that's the one. Although I feel like maybe sometimes
Apparently not.
2 or
Drew a
3 of
blank when
these
we ask about her last visit.
And
are
Montrose himself
are
basically
acceptable.
admitted that he ignores state procedure.
Are we going to stand by and let our social service agencies go rogue?
Jack, we don't have a case against him.
Not yet. Let's see what's in those case files.
So this is the awkward way in which we get the subpoena for the case files.
Here's the last record in the file.
What about the sensitive material from several years ago Montrose told us about?
Mysteriously missing.
Christmas Day, huh? That is one dedicated caseworker.
In the apartment on Christmas afternoon? Nope. Aaron was at the World Trade Center at the time. And since this is 1999 when this is happening, that means the 2001 September 11th attacks haven't happened, so the World Trade Center is all of the buildings, including the Twin Towers, would still be there. Interesting reference that this was made in 2003, so they wrote it specifically to mention the World Trade Center. Trying to pull on your heartstrings.
That's one lying caseworker. We got a ticket says Aaron Bauer was at the top of the World Trade Center at 2 that afternoon.
This report's a complete fabrication, no question. But who do we indict? Simplest thing would be to go after the caseworker, but...
Montrose says he prefers to be the point of contact with the city.
Then let's give him what he wants.
I would flip the caseworker to testify against Montrose because she probably has more dirt on him. Boy, was that an incredibly short couple of scenes, by the way. Really, really short.
Throughout his career, Stefan Montrose has
Look, it's
continually
just
shone a
scribbles.
light on the system's indifference to its most vulnerable citizens.
Scribbles
Tuesday
on the
afternoon,
text.
the system struck back.
We know what the columns are saying, Miss Jameson. We intend to prove that Dr. Montrose is guilty as charged.
Manslaughter with gross negligence?
In addition to 1 count of falsification of records with intent to deceive.
I'm afraid you won't get the chance to present those records in court. I'm filing a motion to suppress.
Well, you
Paperwork
can
went through the
file.
day before the subpoena was served. Good Shepherd is no longer run by the Archdiocese of New York. It's now an entirely private agency, administered through Dr. Montrose's holding company, New Directions.
So you propose to throw out the evidence because we put the wrong address on the subpoena? Of all the underhanded ploys.
The argument is technically correct. Improper service of a subpoena invalidates admissibility.
No,
Court
it
finds the
doesn't.
motion.
No,
Fine.
it
We'll
doesn't.
proceed without it.
No judge would agree with that. You know what a judge would do?
Dr.
He'd go,
Montrose,
were you aware of
in
this
graphic
subpoena?
Detail about the final days of Aaron Bauer. It's natural to feel pity and perhaps even outrage over the manner in which he died. So tell the court, are you in fact guilty of gross negligence?
No, I am not.
Let me read you a quote.
Objection.
Neglect is built into our current welfare system.
Are you
A
reading
client is
from
a
his
mere
own book?
asset to be kept or traded as it benefits the agency.
Ah, you're reading to me from my own book, The Empty High Chair, published last spring. My agency is different.
Indeed, Good Shepherd is distinguished for treating its clients with dignity, as individuals with
Objection?
needs. Isn't that right?
Do I have to click a button to object? Like, honestly, if this was a real game, and not just kind of a simple program, you should have to push a button to object. Would I like to object? She's leading the witness.
Leading. Defense is giving a speech for her client.
Sustained. Let's concentrate on the facts of this case, shall we?
Were you personally involved in the case of Aaron Bauer?
I involved myself personally in every one of my cases, and this was especially true with respect to Aaron.
How so?
When the Bowers first came to my attention, Aaron had been taken into state custody and shut away inside City Youth Home. I know that institution well. Spent my own formative years there. Nobody deserves to go to City Youth Hall. Nobody.
And yet, despite your personal involvement in this case, Aaron Bauer was killed. How do you explain this?
One word. Drugs. First it was the crack epidemic. Now, just as that's beginning to subside, an even worse plague is sweeping through New York. It's a plague that destroys mostly those on the margins. So it's easy for the rest of us to ignore.
Do you have some ideas for addressing this problem?
Well, he probably does have some ideas, and I don't want to bother to hit a button and go out to the menu here, so we'll just end on this screen. This, I suppose, is a tougher court case because we're having to prove neglect, gross neglect, really extreme neglect, to use a different word. But I think if we play enough court tricks, we'll get it to actually work. And then I assume even if we screwed up and the bar up here fell into the defense, the episode would still end. I imagine you could just lose the court case and there are different paths. And that's not a very fun branching system for a game. Nobody's going to want to replay this and lose the court case just to see what happens. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.